Namaste and welcome, beloved mighty companions. What joy to gather together every day in this holy light circle. Start with the celebration of infinite light. To look so deeply and honor what's unchanging. To honor what we share. The only thing we can share in the light of divine being and honesty of God is the only thing that we can share is light. Is it light? In our direct experience. And can light be seen immediately in our direct experience as light beings when we look? Is it hiding from us? Is it trying to get away from us, infinite light, when we look? It's so helpful to remember this, because the ego would say, oh, light's really hard. It's really, really hard to see that we're divine beings, that we're light, to wake up to divinity. We know we're divine. Do we know in the light of divine being and honesty of God, do we know we're divine beings? Is the light saying no? No, you're not. Everyone else except you. That's what the ego says. Everyone else is going to wake up before me, or I'm going to wake up before them. Does the light say that? I love it. The light test. We turn on the light test and see the truth in the light of divine being, the immediate availability. And then we do the light sandwich. We see, okay, in this corner, we have infinite, unchanging being. And see, it's not actually in the corner, it's everywhere. It doesn't have a corner. Does the light have a corner? We can't put it in a corner. It's all that is. It's all that's here. Infinite, unchanging light. So we celebrate the light, and we start with the light first. That's light training. Is it helpful? Ask the divine light. Is it helpful to start with the light of infinite being first? Because that's what we are. Light's not going to say no to that. That's why Jesus says, come quickly in a moment of light. Because to see and rest as this light is divinity. That's divine light. And then he says, let me show you. You can ask me. So we'll ask the light. In the light of divine being and infinite being, can we ask the light to reveal the places below our awareness where the divine light is denied? And listen for the light. That never says no here. When I ask and really listen, it always says yes. So we ask the divine light, the light that we share, being brought together by the light. This is a Jesus constellation right here. Constellation of beings brought together by the Holy Spirit for a holy purpose. The recognition of divine light and celebration. And then to look together with the power of the infinite light that we share, and let no thought, feeling, or emotion stand before this light. In the light of divine being, can a single thought, feeling, or emotion in our direct experience stand before this light? Does the light bow down to a thought, feeling, or emotion in our experience? Let's ask the light, do we need the light's help for the way out of the maze of consciousness? So we must ask. We can ask the light that. Must we ask the light for help and hear the answer? Because there's so many denials, we can't even see our denials. We can ask the light that. In the light of divine being, are we deluding ourselves sometimes about the denials, and hear the answer? So we can see the light. Is it painful to see the light? Recognize it? Can we find any pain in there when we just notice it? Does it take any time to notice divine light in our experience? We see the immediacy of it. Then here comes choice. The seeming choice to leave the light. The choice is true. the bifurcation into seeming cause and effect too. Yet when we look with the light, can we find cause and effect as light beings? So we can ask the light, is cause and effect an idea, cause separate from my effect? It is the desire for the experience of linear time, to be in an object impacted on the world. We can ask the light that so that we can all hear this, because everyone can hear this. This is the same. This is sameness, the ability to hear truth. Is time cause and effect, the desire for experience of time? And hear the answer. Let the light tell us of it itself. Share its wisdom, to shine wisdom on all those ideas we had about what reality is. Is the light reality? The ultimate reality? Is it the only reality in our direct experience? Yet we would manufacture a world, body and a world apart to pretend. Is the body a pretend? Is the body real in the light of divine being in our direct experience? So today I could hear to hear what the Spirit has to say about body identification, and to really be with the Spirit and hear what the Spirit, because we're seeing, is there any fear? Does light know fear? Is there fear in light? It's good to look, because the whole manufacturing of consciousness is to fear the light, so we won't look. Is it difficult to look and just say, okay, ask the light, do I still have a desire for a body over God? Just ask. And hear the answer. Is a body more important to me than an infinite being experience? And then we're in honesty of God, because then we heard it from the one who knows. See, otherwise we could go, well, I'm not a body. That's why he says, don't deny that you're a body, because the ego is here to deny that you're a body, that it's made a body. Yet if we see the denial, cease to deny the denial of divinity through a body, this is the way out. You can ask the light that. Does the light see the body is real in our direct experience when we look? So who is it that thinks this body is real? Can we find the one who thinks the body's real? Can we find something in the light that's going, yeah, I think the body's real. It feels dense to me. Or is it part, let's ask the light, is that part of the illusion, the illusion that there actually is a body in a world? So the light has come, the light's here, willing to speak to us at the slightest request. Show me. Infinite love, show me. So somehow we had gone through this chapter on sexuality. Obviously, there's more to hear about body identification. It's just a beautiful pointing to the desire for a body and the misuse of a body to create a timeline. That's why we ask, Jesus, is there any desire to create a timeline through a body? And will you help me see through this? Because we can ask the divine light and honesty of God, can supreme happiness and the desire for a body coexist in our direct experience? Can a body and the desire for a body and infinite supreme happiness coexist? For the body is made to deny happiness, supreme happiness. We can ask the light, is a body a miscreation to deny infinite light? And hear it direct inside. So we can let that bloom. And then that provides the spaciousness to invite the light in to show us all the body identifications, all the ways in which the body is being misused to try and prove that the spirit is dead. Through the commitment to following the light within, and only that, and to look deeply with the light. That's what's becoming really clear here, at least in the experience here, is being with Jesus on these desires that he points to. And we talked about this yesterday as well. So he keeps taking it, drilling it down all the way to the root. Whatever it is, the desire for helplessness, all the way down. Okay, do I desire helplessness? Okay. Light says yes. Okay. Now reveal that. Let that energy, that suppressed energy, as I've said, it's not the emotion that gets released. It's the desire for the emotion. It's the desire to have the experience. Desire, and then belief comes up next. It's the little worms that come through the desire for experience, and it blows out into all kinds of beliefs. Jesus points to helplessness and powerlessness. And if we believe that we're a body, will we feel, and if we invest in the body to deny divinity, will we indeed feel powerless? In our direct experiences, light means, will we feel helpless as long as we're strongly identified with the body? The desire for identification with the body, will we feel helpless? It's just amazing how we don't even see, like Jesus says, we don't even see how much in pain we truly are because we've become so pain tolerant. We start seeing how truly painful the body is. That wish for a body, that wish to prove separation through pain, the desire for pain to prove that we're separate, to prove God wrong, how much we really want that. We talked about that yesterday, and it continues to come into awareness how, for me, to look underneath any pain, any experience for the wanting of it, the pleasure beneath the pain, and then let that go all the way down to see that love's behind everything. And just let Jesus, is there more to see? Is there more to see? And just drop it, just keep dropping deep into the subconscious mind with Jesus and letting him show us where those energy, let that energy just rise up to be dissipated in infinite light of being that we are. As long as it's suppressed, and we talked about this too, it's blowing out the timeline, and all the witnesses are like here. For helplessness and powerlessness, they keep the desire not to follow the spirit, to keep weakness and to keep guilt. We like that guilt. Jesus, is there any guilt below my level of awareness I need to see? The desire for guilt, attraction. It feels helpful to look at body identification, because that's like the kingpin. That's the ego's little holy resting place. So we'll see what he says and go through the sexuality. But this really applies to just any kind of misuse of the body, actually. Checking in with Jesus on that, make sure I'm clear. This is a potent one. It was very interesting. I was on this Gnostic site, and because apparently I hadn't really noticed, there's some statements in the Bible about sex that Jesus apparently said in the Gnostic texts. He made some pretty strong statements about sex. And obviously in the texts, he's made quite a few statements about it. He's saying that's very helpful to look at. As he said, I'm asking him, This is something that a student of the course must understand. That statement hasn't changed. And as we see, there's so much body identification in attraction between bodies. Well, we can just ask the light of divine being as we go through this, because it'll answer in our hearts. In the light of divine being, is attraction between bodies true? Is it real? Attraction between bodies. Who's getting attracted to what? Yet we just take these forces, I certainly did in my younger years, these forces as just, well, that's just what happened, and it was, you needed to satisfy that somehow. The question is, in any of our experiences, I don't know what they are, but is that really ever, quote unquote, satisfied? It's like this big hot potato in consciousness, really. Jesus says in the Course, and he's very clear on this, bodies cannot join. So let's just ask the light of divine being and honesty of God, can bodies join? So we can all hear it, because we all can. Can bodies ever join? And does the light give body joining assignments? What purpose would that have? Does the light of divine being look to join bodies at all? Can it find a way to join bodies, to find God? When bodies join, do they bring you closer to God? Here in the light of divine being, does it say yes? I don't hear yes, I hear no. It can actually be a major distraction. Well, in fact, he goes into that in detail there. But without really seeing this, we will continue the addiction to body. This is a major addiction point in consciousness. Trying to get love through bodies. The idea that love comes through a body joining. And we talked about this before, but it just stood out so much that in a couple in community, and the husband came out and said, you did not have sex with me and you're depriving me of heaven. That's how strong the belief system is. So let's ask in the light of divine being, does any two bodies joining influence whether we're in heaven or not in our direct experience as light beings? Does any two bodies touching determine whether we're in heaven? That the light's here. Does that influence the light in any way? Whether two bodies join. Because this would be a lot of descriptive texts on, okay, you can reach heaven through two bodies joining. And can we find a way for that to happen in the divine light of being and honesty of God? It's a major consciousness hoodwink. We can ask the light, is this a major consciousness hoodwink? If the light says, is this conscious pulling the wool over its own eyes? The two bodies can join for pleasure or for any reason, really. That happiness comes in any way from any two bodies joining. Is there any way possible from two bodies joining that happiness and pleasure comes from this? In honesty of God, if we really look from the light's perspective. I mean, the light's not judging if we hold hands. The light doesn't even judge if sex is there. You know, it doesn't, does the light judge any kind of sexual activity in our direct experience? It doesn't judge it. It's just that we will judge ourselves and be in the guilt house. We'll put ourselves out, you know, in the woodshed when you're down. It's a play in consciousness to have these experiences, so then we can put ourselves in the subconscious woodshed. That's what Jesus is trying to, because the light doesn't judge it. He's just showing us where we're perpetuating. Where are we perpetuating guilt? Below our level of awareness. And it's like we talk about that game, the whack-a-mole, where the little holes, you know, you got like a little board and you got 10 little holes in it, and the little mole's head come up, and then you're supposed to hit his head. I don't know, this was a game. But it's like you try to keep that mole down, but then it's going to pop up somewhere else. This is how consciousness plays. What it does is it subtroverts. It's so fascinating. We're watching all the mechanisms as divine light, getting curious. Let's watch how this works. And it's like, you don't want to see something. And we're starting to recognize when we really don't want to see something. But we still don't know all the time. That's where we have to ask Jesus. We have to, because we're so used to playing the delusion game. But anyway, be that as it may, so we whack that, well, I'm not going to look at that. And I know we can all relate to that, because we've all had times when we just do not want to look, Jesus. We wouldn't be in this path if there hadn't been time. No, I don't want to look. So let's just say that. What it does then, when we don't want to look at something, it actually empowers, that gets the ego quite strong, because we just sided for weakness. That's the first thing. But then that little barrel, this is how it works. So it goes under, down into the subconscious mind. And we feel relief. We feel so much relief. See how that's going to play. It's actually a pleasure play. We feel so much relief. But what it's going to do, it's going to hang out down there. That's how it works. And then it's going to come up and remanifest because of the power of the thought. See, there's the thought, unforgiven, going along seemingly, and it just delayed the recognition of divine light by not stepping into the authority of God with God. And there it is. It's going to sneak along. There's no way getting out of this world. You know, that death kind of follows us along. There's pop up in a new experience again. There it will be. Helplessness, powerlessness, whatever the play is. Unless we really look at it with Jesus and let him take us down into the basement of below the level of the roots, all the way until he says we're done. Okay, I have a desire for powerlessness. Okay, show me deeper, deeper, till you get to that root, that wanting root. I'm willing to see where I really desire. Am I willing to see what I have denied? For it is the truth. This is where he's taking us on those last steps. Direct looking. The power, this is the power of infinite being stepping up and saying, you know, I'm just not gonna, go ahead, show it to me. Because it's the running that hurts. Ask Jesus. In light of divine being, is it the running that's actually hurting? But we're so convinced that the light's going to hurt us. And the light of divine being, does the light hurt anything? Is when we see the light, is it swacking us around? Or we really need to see this, because if we don't recognize that the light is so benevolent, light's just there. It's not doing anything. It's not participating in all the kerfuffling. But we think we're okay for a while. See, when we think we say yes to the ego, when we say yes to the ego, we think we win. See, that's how consciousness plays. We think, oh, I won for this moment. And underneath all of that is, oh, I can do this later. Ask the divine light if that's how the ego plays. That's why really standing into it is so, so important. Like standing with your mighties together, stepping forward, really joining, because you play weak, that weakness goes under. It doesn't dissipate. The ego's going to play the I'm going to get you later game. It's going to be fine. You can feel a lot of relief. Oh, God, I got bypassed that one. But what happened was that we sided with weakness. And that's why we have to be so true to light. Like he says, diligence for God's kingdom in the light. We can ask the light this, because we all know this. We're all really, if you're coming to the light circles, you've really been looking deeply, or the desire to look deeply is here. We're all here together to look as deep as Jesus is going to take us, all the way to pure infinite light, and hold each other's hands all the way. I said the only purpose for sex is procreation. I was a little, well, I was surprised when that was the first sentence, I guess, 'cause it's helpful to see that. Just ask the divine light so that it can resonate. Each sentence resonates. Is the only purpose for sex procreation in the light of divine being and honesty of God? It's like, but Jesus, look what you're taking away from me. All the beings that you just see the reflections in consciousness. I can hear Jesus already going unequivocally not, because he already hears what the question's going to be. So, Jesus, did you and Mary Magdalene? No. What need would a being that's in full recognition of divinity have with that play in consciousness? He was totally and completely in divine purpose. Completely in divine purpose. He's not going to play. It's not going to play. I'm asking him about Mary Magdalene. Oh, there's an enormous love for however that play was in consciousness, in service to the whole. It was in service to the whole. So the love that they shared was a love of totality, divine light, serving the Father together. In purpose to serve the Father. That's what I hear. In purpose to serve the Father, just like we're in purpose to serve the Father. But it's interesting, is it in consciousness, how the selectivity involved in sexuality? That some bodies are better than others, or some bodies are more attractive. See the selectivity in that? The specialness in that selectivity, the energetic selectivity. Other than for the purposes, or he doesn't, the consciousness, Jesus doesn't have a problem. There's not a problem with procreation. We were all procreated somehow, although not the way we think. Because can two bodies, let's just ask divine light, can two bodies come together and do anything? Does sex actually make a baby? And ask divine light that. Light of divine being. No, it's not possible. It's an idea. See, these are all concepts. That one will rip for a while sometimes when I first realized that, wait a minute, that's an idea in consciousness, just like everything else. It's a desired experience. We want a desired experience to make a child like the Father makes a child. See how it's going to parallel the Father, because we want the play like the Father makes us. So we'll make a child and go that way. It goes sideways in consciousness, but see how it's going to parallel the Father. Parallels the Father. But you can have a talk with Jesus about procreation. Really, it's very educational. And it's very interesting when I asked him about that, and it's just known. It's like it can't be explained why it's just procreation. It just gets to be known. It's like, yeah, I don't know why, but I hear it. I can understand it. Because we're holy. It's not to make the product seemingly a human being that arises somehow, tainted, because it seems to come from that kind of movement in consciousness. We're all precious beings and precious expressions of God. I said the only purpose of sex is for procreation. This was shared in depth with Helen and Bild and appeared in the text. It feels helpful to clarify this point. First, I have no judgment and see no error in anything in form, as it does not exist. This is see no error. Is the light see no error of infinite being? Can the light see error in anything in our direct experience? No error. no error in sex, no error in anything. So our function is to see no error, to see as the light. We can ask the light that. Is our function to see as the light sees, in the light of divine being? To see with that purity of the light. And the way that happens, because we can see that we're light, again, is letting the denial energies, just looking directly with the light, no holes barred. Give it to me, Jesus. Show me where those denials are, so that we're just pure light. We're no longer playing consciousness games. Your function is to see no error in any act, movement, or thought that seems to appear in the display of consciousness. In the light of divine being is our function to see no error in any act or movement in the light of divine being. See, if we see an error in something, we just judged ourselves, right? Error of thought. So he says it's not to judge it. If it appears, however it looks, whatever sexual behavior that we might observe or see or hear about, it's not our function to judge it. This is what it means to order no thought. This is accepting innocence. Love knows not right or wrong. I can only offer a means for you to quickly see past the world of form that you do believe in, to recognize the love that you already are by pointing to what you deny. We've gone every night with the light circles to go, okay, show me the denial. This is a big one. Body identification. If you welcome this offer. So Jesus, please show me where this is. Any energy left around this that has to do with, or any body identification, really. We really start to see that having a body is not that fun. After we kind of tire of the consciousness playground, the playground of death is the playground of the imagination. It is always your choice to either accept or deny divine nature. So in the light of divine being, do we have a choice not to be divine nature? Is it impossible in any way, shape, or form for us not to be divine in the light of honesty of God? Can't happen. That's why we honor our brother, because our brother's divine. We're divine. We're infinite beings. So choice is really, there are no choices. Did the light of divine being know what a choice is? That's why it's happy and peaceful. No choice, because it's one. What would one have to do about making a choice? Choice is a future. Choice is death. Yet we're so determined to hold on to, let's just ask Jesus how we're doing on our belief in choice. Jesus, is there still a belief in choice below my level of awareness? Is there a desire to experience choice? Actually, he just said pain is a desire to experience choice. We feel pain in our bodies, pain, desire to experience choice. That's deep. And that's the choice to be right, right? We want to be right. Try to prove God wrong about being divine. When we see in the light, this is how come this is so helpful. We start with the light and see we're absolutely dead on insane. Because why would we give up everything, infinite light, infinite peace, to tootle around with death? But we like it, so we do. There's a desire for it. And that's what really helping. He's helping us see directly in these light circles. The course remains a required curriculum regardless of the time you take. So he certainly said that. Obviously, I need to be reminded because here it is. Required. I have shared that sexual impulses are confused miracle impulses. I'm just asking them about this. We can all be really clear. Well, let's just ask. The light of divine being. Our sexual impulses can be miracle impulses, and just see what the light says. I hear yes. They're just the expression of divine being trying to come through, and it go like, celebrate the expansiveness. But so the ego is going to usurp that, right? Because then we would see that there's no ego if we're just expressing as divine being, which is what this is all headed toward. And forgiveness is just pure divine expression, infinite. That's why he says miracles are natural. They're expressions of divine love, pure, whole, and complete, total. So here comes a miracle impulse done. And then there's a desire to deny it, divert it, not to let it, so we can have this feeling of smallness. Miracle impulses and all, so we're going to make it go sideways. Because the ego would be gone very quickly, and the play in consciousness would be gone if these miracles start expressing. Remember, Jesus said, and just miracles are natural. I'm entitled to miracles because it's what is, rather than the play of what is not. So miracle impulses and all body impulses. So I appreciate him showing me this again and reminding me, because it's like a deep dive lately on body desires. Are merely body impulse, are merely an opportunity to look deeply, to see immediately what is true. See, so the way the ego handles those kinds of, it's like an itch comes in. That hunger. I mean, how is sex referred to? Sexuality. And we're not just talking, we're also talking the desire for a male or female body too. Notice that as well. But just say that kind of pull, seeing an attractive man, seeing an attractive woman, or not seeing a body and thinking it's not attractive. They're like, those are all the same kind of poles. See how it causes all that polarity. What, this one's attracted, this is not attracted, certain body parts are attracted, certain body parts are not. You see, like we're in that, the pinball machine of consciousness pinging off, this is good, this is bad, ding, 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 ding. No wonder we're exhausted at the end of the day. So here's the miracle trying to come. And instead we're hunting for that horizontal connection, the horizontal solution, looking for salvation actually through sexuality. It's a means to try to find salvation horizontally, the desire. So what all he's saying about it, he's not trying to make anything. He's just saying, why don't you just look with me before engaging, just to see what it is. Take a look. That's actually all he's saying. You can still always, move with your body or go use the body in any way possible. Is it just valuable if he's saying here for us to like, okay, let's get curious about this. Notice that what's arising and ask me about it. Because if it's really denying the miracle, well, let's just ask the divine light. Is following a sexual impulse to go horizontal a denial of light? You hear what the light says. The honesty of God says. So isn't it worth it if it's a denial of a miracle? Wouldn't we want to just kind of look at that just for a minute? We can go back and have some, whatever body experiences, but we may not want to. It may free up, just that looking free up so much love, the love that we were trying to seek to find horizontally. It is a call for a miracle, a call for love, not the love of this world, the love that is of the Father. See, we're trying to get union by joining bodies to try to get union through bodies. In the light of divine being and honesty of God, can union of bodies ever help us see the light? is it improve our chances of seeing the light in any way, shape, or form if bodies join in our direct experience. See, it's a dalliance in consciousness. Consciousness dallying, denying itself. This is a powerful opportunity to look directly at desire with me as these feelings arise. Just to be curious about it for once. I had somebody walk up after we did a group and say, look, when I was a teenager, I just could not control it. Well, let's ask in the light of divine being, is this a play in consciousness? Because Jesus says in a course, we desire an experience in which we do not feel in control. In the light of divine being, is there a desire to feel out of control? Is the light ever out of control? See, it's a desired experience to be all kinds of things in it. Vanquished, taken over. Look at the words that are used around a sexual interaction. To be vanquished, to be owned, to feel safe, to feel unsafe. The desire for pleasure. Well, pleasure, and we already know pleasure is the same thing as pain, so we will feel guilt. So he's just trying to help us not feel guilt and see what this is. The desire for the idea of love of the world and avoid the love of the Father. So it's actually avoidance. We can ask, the sexual activity, avoidance of God, and hear what the divine light says. But it's helpful to look at these things because as he goes, transfer of training to all kinds of areas within consciousness where we have body identification, and we can look with him at the desire to deny the miracle. The ego, the desire to deny what is true, attempts to deny the miracle and thus acts through the body on miracle impulses. To avoid looking directly at them. That's all it is. It's just an opportunity to look directly. Like everything, every impulse that arises is an opportunity to look directly. So here he talks about the descriptive words, and we've heard all these, it's so valuable to see them right here, though. The descriptive words that appear in consciousness give clues: sexual desire, sexual hunger, sexual attraction, sexual urge, sexual fantasy. It's the whole thing's like decorated with non-reality. It's like a deep, deep dive into non-reality, fantasy play. It was interesting too, because I can't remember exactly. Let me see if I can read. Can you tell me how you said it in the text? To Helen, when he said, it's not like I'm discouraging abstinence. Like he's not discouraging abstinence. That's pretty interesting. But the question here is, and a very good one, a hunger and an urge for what? Does the light of divine being have any urges? Does it have a hunger for anything? Is it trying to get, that sense of getting something through a body, that urge to get something that arises. We see attractive male, attractive female, repulsion. We see unattractive body. It's like this. We're like, bing, bing, bing. It's like binging around. It's that ping pong ball just bouncing along. Does the light bounce around? Does the light know anything about bodies? So helpful to see this, because these energies will last for a really long time throughout life. Through the play of death, I should say. A hunger and urge for what? These are all expressions of need. This is really the bottom line right here. We can ask in the divine light of being, as the power that we are, what need has the Son of God when all is given? The question is always, what is it for? If we ask in our hearts, divine being to show us, what is sex for? And hear the answer. What is it for? Does divine being find a purpose for it, really? You know, I grew up Catholic too, so that was a really big thing, the Catholic Church. Well, they can't control that. You come in and say, you know, it's only if you're married and all that stuff. That just sounded horrific. So imagine my surprise when I started typing this this chapter. But then when I started going it through Jesus, every sentence I'm going, you're right. He's absolutely right. This is right. This is true. You know? When you start looking at divine being, it's like, holy smokes, the implications of not really looking deeply at this for body identification, to see where sexuality is just right down the rabbit hole of death. Pretty deep. Because I remember thinking when I first heard it in the text, you know, I was kind of curious about it, but I think that just sounds like death. You know, I'm so glad. And I can remember even thinking, I am so glad this did not make the Course in Miracles, the text, you know, so glad that didn't make it in there. Well, Jesus helped fix that. Couldn't get away from looking at it. Because of I mean, think about it. All the fights in relationships, all the ideas about not being good enough, needing the next time. I mean, it's so loaded. It's so loaded, so rife with identification of wanting something. I can't find a way to get around looking at that. I mean, he's right. You're right, Jesus. It's so full of the wanting energy, the getting energy. You can pretend that you can give in it, but not really. No, I can't. In appearance, it may seem that there's a need for two bodies to come together to merge and to express love. Because we talk about that in consciousness, don't we? Oh, this is lovemaking. Let's ask the light, isn't the infinite light of being, is this lovemaking? Can love be enhanced in any way by this activity in the light of divine being and honesty of God? This is an expression of strong body identification. Yet what is this appearance and experience really? What is it really? That's what we're always asking for. What's it for? Any kind of use of the body. It's misuse of the body. I mean, I'm getting that clearly from right now. It's just total misuse of the body. Because our only function really, and we know this from A Course in Miracles, is completion. Can we feel complete through a body? Oh, that's a good one. In the light of divine being and honesty of God, can we feel complete through a body? Is it possible? Does divine light look to the body for the experience of completion? See, it's looking for salvation horizontally. See, you can get that energy of it. How that urge is a desire to find the impossible, salvation horizontally. If salvation is already here in the light of divine being and we can see it, because we're powerful enough to see the light, what does that add to light? It can't, because we're already complete, we're already saved. So what would we need that experience for? How would that give us salvation? That's a really good question. How would two bodies joining give us salvation if the salvation is already here? Yet if we can't see how it's a denial of salvation, we engage. Well, we've been doing that for eons, you know, so like the light's not going to judge it, but we will judge ourselves because we'll feel unworthy. We'll want to, you know, it's so much around sexuality that doesn't bring happiness. We pretend like it does. The whole culture is around it, posters, body images, that it will hold the body image. And let me add, that's what he's saying. I'll just say, it will hold the experience of the body image in place. That's what it's for. That's the function. Let's ask some light divine being if that's the function. See what the light says in your heart. Its function is to hold the body belief in place, to make it real, to try to prove that bodies exist through pleasure. But it's pain, because pain and pleasure are the same. He says, what is the appearance and experience really? What is the true desire? Is it for an experience of love with a capital L? And if so, how would two bodies coming together demonstrate that love exists? Can two bodies coming together demonstrate that love exists in our direct experiences, light beings? When love is already here. There's a concept that intimacy comes from this expression. Love is who you are. In the light of divine being and honesty of God, is love who we are. Yeah, Jesus is just offering us all a vast means, looking so directly at these desires. Thank you for joining to look together. If you have any questions about this or other topics, please email us or text us, or if you want us to leave more space at the end, I can see that we've gone over, we usually go about for 40 minutes. But we're really happy to join on this and support anyone in these light circles. We feel like this is our function, to be together here and to see what's true, and to provide the spaciousness for questions. Amen. Love you.